We've talked quite a bit about how an image is represented as a matrix inside a MATLAB. Conversely, a matrix that we create using MATLAB tools can be displayed as an image. So what we're going to do now is use some of MATLAB's fundamental image creation tools to produce some test images. So we're going to create an image purely through code. So let's start off by assigning to a workspace variable im my standard name for an image. I'm going to use the function zeros, and what that does is create a matrix with dimensions 200 by 200, and all the elements in that matrix are zeros, and I'm going to set one element of that to the value of 1. Now I can display this matrix that I just created as an image, and what we can see is it's largely black because all the pixels are 0, which represents black, and up in the top leftmost corner you can see a tiny little patch of white. That's the 1 pixel that I set to the value of 1 representing white. Now I can create a slightly bigger object in this scene. What I'm going to do is within this matrix I'm going to set all the pixels from row 150 to row 160, and all the columns from column 60 to column 70, and I'm going to set those to a value of 0.5. So that's a grey, halfway between black and white, and I'm going to set all those elements of the matrix to the value of 0.5. Now I can display that matrix again, and we see we've created a small grey square in the image. So we're creating an image simply by writing code. The toolbox contains a function to create circles. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call the circle function. It's called kcircle. I'm going to say I want a circle of radius 30. We see that it has created a matrix of dimensions 61 by 61. Let's have a look at this thing that we just created. You can see here is the image representation of that matrix. We can explore it using IDIS. We can see that all these pixels in here, these matrix elements, have got a value of 1, and all of these ones which don't lie in the circle have got a value of 0. So this function has returned a matrix which is square, and the elements in that are either 0 if they don't belong inside the circle and white if they do belong inside the circle. So what we can do now is actually paste this circle into the image that we had before. So let's just go back to the image that we had a moment ago, and I'm going to paste the circle into that image, and I do it like this, and I'm going to make the circle not bright white. I'm going to make it a slightly brighter grey than the square was. So I'm going to multiply all the elements in the circle by the value of 0.7, so it'll have a 70% grey value, and I'm going to place the circle with its centre at 130. So that is the u coordinate of 100 and the v coordinate of 30. So what I've done now is updated the elements in the matrix Im. Is the value that it had before, and now it's got a circle pasted into it. So let's have a look at that. And we see that the image now contains a square and a circle. Toolbox has got some other functions for creating graphical entities within a matrix. Another function is iLine, and that draws a line into a matrix. So I'm going to draw a line into the matrix IM. The line's going to start at coordinate 30, 40, and it's going to go to 150, 190, and I'm going to make it have a value of 90% grey. Let's display that. And there we have a matrix which now contains a square, a line, a circle, and a single bright pixel. Toolbox has got some functions to create slightly more elaborate test patterns. That's accessed through the test pattern function. And here I'm going to create a ramp function. I'm going to create an image of dimensions 200 by 200 pixels. And let's have a look at that. And here we have what's called a grayscale ramp. So let's have a look at the grayscale values in here. They're quite low, about 0.05, and as we move horizontally it gets brighter and brighter all the way up to 1. So it's a grayscale ramp pattern. We can create more elaborate test patterns such as grid of squares or circles. Here's an example. We assign it to an output variable im, use the test pattern function, ask for squares. We want the output image to be 200 pixels by 200 pixels. We want the squares to be on a 50 pixel spacing, and we want the squares to be 25 pixels square. Let's display that image. And there we have a grid of 16 squares.